Oh, I think I'm live. I see it's live. I think I'm live. I'm going to look on my phone here to make sure that's the case. But if I'm out there to you and you see me, give me a thumbs up or something so I know that I'm there. I'm looking, scrolling on my phone to see. And there is my friend, Dr. Partha Nandi, who's joined us. Hi, Dr. Nandi. It's good to see you. Doctor, I think you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Gotcha.
Sorry about that.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday. It's 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, and 1 a.m. here in Italy. And it's Facebook Live. And I've got my good friend, Dr. Partha Nandi, who is a world-famous gastroenterologist here today with us. And we're going to be talking about the gut and about a special program that he's got going. But I want to make sure that, Dr. Nandi, I always look on my phone to see if I'm live. Now I can see on my screen that I'm live, but it's always nice to see it on the phone. So bear with me for just a moment while I look to see if we're there. And there we are. I see it. Good. There we go. And let's see. Oh, Lynn's here from South Australia. Denise from Houston. Peru's from LA. My cousin Carol's here, and Jamie. Hi, guys. Carol's in Pittsburgh. Thank you so much. Nice to see you're there. And Carol, you were the first one on. Thanks so much. That's really special. Love to you. Jamie's here, and Jamie says, I'm just checking in with my Facebook community and saw your Facebook Live pop up. Great to see you. Thank you, Jamie. It's great that you're here. Jamie's one of our certified gluten practitioners who's out there just taking names, saving the world like we all are. Marsu from San Diego. Christina's here from Italy. Ciao, Christina. I'm near Lago di Garda right now, so we're in the same time zone. Thank you so much for being up so late. And Kirsten Campbell's here. Hi, Kirsten. And Mia's here from North Wales, and Nadina from NSW, Australia. I think that's New South Wales, Australia. And it's 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning there. Thank you. I got that. Thank you, Nadina. All right, let's get rolling here, and I'll get to some of the questions in a couple of minutes. But first, let's just introduce Dr. Nandi, and who is one of the, when you deal with specialists, when you deal with medical doctors who have zeroed in on one particular specialty, usually that's the kind of guy you want to see when you've got a problem with that particular area. But one of the concerns is that specialists often look with blinders. And what we have here with Dr. Nandi is a very famous gastroenterologist who took the blinders off years and years ago. And Dr. Nandi, I'd like to ask you, what was it that was the motivation for you to see the bigger picture than just thinking about the gut when you're dealing with gut issues?
It's a great question, Dr. Tommy, and thanks for that introduction. First of all, I was born in India, so I came from a whole different part of the world than where I reside now, and I came when I was 9. So I was already biased with some great information from, a part of the world that treats medicine, of course, with Western medicine, but also holistically. So I was taught with my parents about spirituality, about how your body is really integrated with everything around you. So at a very young age, I realized some of those secrets. And then when I pursued medicine, I'm a gastroenterologist. So before you become a gastroenterologist, you have to be an internist. So an internist is a doctor, a general doctor of an adult human being. So you have to really know all the systems and become an expert at that before you then subspecialize. So what happened was I had a love for everything. And then I said I wanted to be an expert in one. And I liked the gut at that time because I really felt so many of our symptoms, right, really emanate from the gut. And so much, even at that time, listen, when I was training, some of the concepts we have today weren't even, there was maybe a little tiny thought in somebody's mind, but heck, nobody talked about how your genes may not be the only thing, right? We were taught in medical school and even in residency. So for those of you who are not familiar with the American system of education, so you go through, your high school or secondary education for 12 years, and you do 4 years of college, and then you do 4 years of medical school. Then you do residency, which is what I did, internal medicine, for 3 years. Then you do three more years in subspecialty education in gastroenterology. But back in those days, when you did medical school residency, some of these concepts weren't even there. But I knew that the gut really was, to me, the center, because so many of my patients in internal medicine had problems even when they had other issues going on with the gut. So I always thought, I was taught by great teachers that learn the whole body. When you talk about somebody's having a gut issue, learn how that whole body is working, how other systems are working together with the gut. So that was my approach. And I think I was really biased because of my background and then my training. So I really was quite blessed in doing that. And it's really served me well because I've been able to have an open mind. Many of your viewers, I'm sure, when they're watching, they go see a doctor, a traditional doctor, often has closed their minds, like you said, with blinders, that this is all there is. There's nothing else. Your brain may not be affected by your gut, or you have an autoimmune disease called lupus, and that may not be affecting your digestive issues. So that really has been, I've been fortunate to be able to be trained and have the background to be able to see it that way.
Marvelous. Thank you so much for that. And we know it goes as far back as Hippocrates. It said death begins in the gut, right? You always have to go look at the gut, and that's a primary place to start. Well, Ray is here. Hi, Ray. My friend Ray is here. She's in San Diego. Jenny's here from the UK. Karen's here from Maine. Gabriela Alvarez is in the house. Jenny's here from Indonesia. Gabriela Alvarez is from South Peru. Christina's in Modena, not far from me. Christina, we just drove right past there the other day. We were coming back from Florence. Judy's in Melbourne, Australia. Dorada's New York City. Laura's in Oregon. Hi, Laura. And Maryland's Newfoundland. So the list goes on and on. As you were speaking, Dr. Nandi, the thumbs up were just flying across the screen here. I don't know if you can see them at your end, but just people are like saying, thank you, because we need all of our doctors thinking like this. And so today we've got the great opportunity to have a world famous gastroenterologist with us. And one of the things that I want to talk about here with Dr. Nandi is his summit that he is bringing out, his gut summit. So it starts in a couple of weeks. And Dr. Nandi, can you tell us a little about your summit and why you put this summit together and what makes this summit unique?
Well, thanks again, Dr. Tom. What I've noticed with my patients, a lot of what I do is driven by necessity. So a lot of my patients would ask me, and they would use traditional medicine methods. They may have seen other doctors. They come and tell me, listen, it's not working for me, and I'm still having symptoms. And I often went back to saying, do you know about gut health? Listen, I want people, and I've prescribed many medications. I've done multiple, thousands and thousands of procedures, but I always go back to gut health, and I would educate my patients when nobody else really would, because of the fact is traditional medicine doesn't teach you this. We're starting to now. In Western medicine, we're starting to, but so many of my patients are asking me about, what is this microbiome? What is this leaky gut? How are toxins playing a role? What can I do with spirituality? So, I said to myself, we need to really get some of the leading experts in the country, around the world, from traditional medicine as well as medicine, which we call functional medicine, to come together. And we called it the Slim Gut Summit. It's a little play on words, right? Because everybody really wants a slim gut. It's like you want to look and feel your best. And so the slim gut really is talking about what? A healthy gut. And that healthy gut is multifactorial. There are many factors that can really change how healthy your gut is. And guess what? When you have a healthy gut, you have a better control of your weight. Your weight set point changes. Your brain function enhances. So the education that I was giving to patients one by one, meaning in an office, right? There's only so many people you can reach. But if you have a group of experts that you're discussing some of these, along with Dr. Tom, who really did an amazing job of talking about really how a healthy gut can change the way you feel and look. I mean, we have a professor from University of Chicago. I have a professor from the University of Michigan. I have Dr. Tom. I have folks that have written books that are best-selling books. Pedram Sojai, Jonathan Baylor, and Drew Canoli. These are folks from all different aspects and all different approaches, talking about how we can make changes in our gut and in our health. And the key is that when your gut is healthy, really the rest of your body follows. Because let's think about it, right? So when we start with the part of the body that's really vulnerable, and what I mean by vulnerable is that it's really not closed off, in the sense that when you eat something, the moment you eat something, right, what happens? Your body has to make a decision, a series of decisions, right? Whether this is good for me or not, whether I should take it or reject it, whether it's foreign to me or not. Should my immune system attack it, boom, bam, or accept it? Every single morsel of food. And this food comes from the general environment. It's not protected. It's not processed by anything. So your gut has to have the best immune system, the best neurological system, the best host of systems to keep it in balance. And then if it's in balance, the signals that are fed to your body that, hey, your borders are under control and what we're giving to you is really great stuff. And so if we don't do that, the rest of your health can't follow. You know, we're talking about what gut microbes actually do, right? What is it that this 100 trillion member army is doing? How to change your biology. Instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to skip 10 meals, run 500 miles, and then I'll be the greatest. It's not that. It's how to change your biology from within, right? Importance of balancing your GI tract. Carbs, fat, what's it all about? I mean, is it just bad carbs, or are there bad fats? And Ari Whitten really goes into details. Autoimmune disease. Dr. Tom talks about autoimmune disease and autoimmune triggers and how your gut can play a role. SIBO, leaky gut, irritable bowel syndrome. So lots of great stuff, but not just, we talk about the gut, but listen, there's so many other diseases that your gut relates to. And that's why I'm excited to share this information with the world, because man, you can make some simple changes in your life and really revolutionize your future.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think and I've said many times that if there's only one area that you're going to focus on to be healthy, only one area, it's your gut, because it controls, the geek term is modulates. And that's a great geek term. It's a nice Scrabble word. And what it means is I've got my hands on the steering wheel of everything that happens in this body. And that's what the gut does. If it just turns a little bit to the right, a quarter mile down the road, the car's off the road, or less than a quarter mile. It doesn't take much at all. And that's why, as we learn to keep attention on our gut, it's going to have an impact, the trickle-down effect throughout our entire body. I want to give a shout out to Homa and Irvine, and Kali Kuster Nandi is saying, love to you, Powerhouse. And so that's for Kirsten, and I hope for us too, and I'm sure it is. Thank you, Kali. Gabriella says the very best are here, and thank you. Jill's here from Brisbane. Christy is in Vero Beach, Florida. Christy Buck is nutritionist, health coach. Paul is here saying Alaska's in the house. And you all can see on the screen there in the comments section is the link. Copy that link or come back to it later. This is the link so that you can get your name registered for Dr. Nandi's summit that'll begin in a couple of weeks. So we'll post it a few times during this event, but it's there now, so you can copy it down. And you've got an opportunity here. We've got a world-renowned gastroenterologist here, folks. So if you've got questions on the gut, you can post them, and I'll see them. I've got a question, though, Dr. Nandi. I think this is really great. You've got the days of your summit allocated to specific topics. And you really caught me with day 4 is men's dedicated talks, bellies, balding, and low libido. Now, I think that's a great combination. And most of our tribe have heard me say before that between 1974 and 2011, in 37 years, there's been a 59% reduction in sperm count in healthy men, not infertile men, but healthy men. And like most numbers, that doesn't mean anything until we realize that extinction of a species begins at 72%. And we're at 59% in 37 years. What do you think is going to happen in the next 20 years? For all of you out there, that's why this summit is so important, is to pick up ideas on that. So let's talk about day 4 as an example, and the experts, and what are some of the topics that they might be addressing during that time?
You know what, we've often seen, men, a lot of times women are the drivers of health in our society, right? Especially in this nation. We need men to be involved. And here's the reason why, because some of the major killers on the planet are really affecting men, right? Not just, of course, exclusively men, but we're talking about heart disease. We're talking about, for example, colon cancer. We're talking about lung cancer. These are diseases that, in my opinion, if you really make a significant effort, you can change the paradigm. So what I mean is, you can change your gut simply. Even if you're a man, some of the factors of decreased libido, decreased energy. Some people talk about low testosterone levels, and also just even with men and women, the midlife crisis, right? The ideas that what's happening to us. We also not only address what you can do with your diet and also what you can do with your movement. We talk about something amazing, which is spirituality. And I want to take a moment to talk about this, because very few people talk about gut health and spirituality in the same sentence, right? Because we don't understand how those could be related. So when I say spirituality, people often say, "Oh no, I'm not religious," and it's not about that. If you are, that's great. But even if you're a man or a woman, if you have spirituality in your life, you can actually change the physiology, change the entire biology of your gut. So, if anybody who's an athlete or loves an athlete knows Michael Jordan, right? And Michael Jordan is a famous basketball player in the U.S., used to be. His entire life and game changed with what? Changing his spirituality. He learned about meditation. He learned about spirituality, changed his performance. We, as we're not winning championship games in huge arenas, but we're winning championship games in our lives. And so using spirituality, using a purposeful life, changing that whole paradigm, and then seeing how that affects your gut. Dr. Tom and I had a conversation about simple cortisol levels. Bless you. Cortisol levels and epinephrine levels of increased stress and not being at ease and disease. When you have spirituality, those levels of cortisol, those levels that increase stress, change dramatically. So throughout history, I always talk about that we as human beings have wanted to have lunch and not be lunch. That's our critical goal, right? We wanted to make sure that we had that drive, and that fight or flight drive that we had was great, and it served us really well. But now, when we have a state where there's unrest, there's lack of purpose, lack of spirituality, what you're doing is driving the cortisol levels, driving this fight or flight mechanism in such a way, and it affects every part of your body, including the gut. We have something called dysbiosis. So dysbiosis is your gut microbiome, your gut health is totally in disarray when you have this complete and utter nonstop stress that's affecting all of us. Suicide levels in our nation and in the world at all-time high levels, anxiety at all-time high levels, depression at all-time high levels. And so these are indicators, symptoms of what's going on. When your gut is not healthy, when your microbiome is in disarray, imagine 90% of the serotonin in your body, right, is created in your gut. So if your gut hormone balance is not affected the correct way, and you have unhealthy microbiomes, and what's going to happen? Your brain is going to be affected in such a way that your spirituality and your mental health is affected. This is just we're just touching the surface in some of these discussions. We're gonna talk about gut health and talk about how you change your body in ways people don't think about. You know, everybody thinks that, you know, you go out there, you take a pill, you take this formula, but really there are so many mechanisms within your body that can be activated, ancient mechanisms that are around, and we're going to show you how to really activate those to really change your life. So that's what I'm excited about each day and day 4. So all those guys out there will say, you know what, I don't need any of this. If you want more energy, if you want to help your life, if you want to even increase your sex life, why not? Right? Yeah. Hey, let's talk about it. And we'll give you those kinds of information. Nothing's magical. Everything takes work. But when you have the information, you have the power. We talk about being your own health hero. You have the power to be your own health hero and revolutionize your life. That juices me up every day when I know that we can do that for people around the world.
We have a number of questions that have come in. Let's see if we can get to a couple of them. The first one from Emily is it possible for a person's microbiome test results to not show the presence of any Akkermansia mucophilia present in the gut? I just got my microbiome tested, and although I eat lots of kimchi and other types of microbiome supporting foods, my results showed low gut health and no Akkermansia. I asked the lab about this, and they said if it was present, they would have detected it. For some reason, I do not believe those results. What are your thoughts, please? Thank you so much.
It's a great question. Here's one of the biggest issues we have about the microbiome. We don't have often great assays in looking for and actively identifying them. And I'll tell you, I like the, and you know about this too, Dr. Tom, I like the Viome test that really identifies more of these species. And what also happens is that
this was the test. It was a Viome.
They found the Viome test. And so I think that that's the most accurate test. If you're taking the foods that you're supposed to, that are recommended, what I would say is that I would go back and see how you can actually change more of the variety, so you're not killing some of these bacteria and organisms, in not being able to be present. So at this time, I can't tell you why, if you're doing all the things you're supposed to and taking the Viome test, that you should be getting those results. I don't have a good reason why you shouldn't have it. I would go back and say, are there other foods or medicines you're taking or antibiotics that could be affecting those? But that's what I would say at this time without knowing your full history.
And I fully agree with that. And Emily, this is a classic example of someone doing all the right things, from what you've written here, that you have other types of microbiome supporting foods, and you're doing lots of kimchi and other supportive foods and nutrients. From a functional medicine perspective, you do the living matrix. The living matrix is a questionnaire that'll take you a few days probably to fill out. Most people, it takes them quite a while, because I want to know, what was your mother's health history during her pregnancy with you? Were you breastfed? Did you have doses of antibiotics as a kid? How many? Any gut symptoms? In other words, we have to go way back in a case like yours to see what might be inhibiting what should be the normal response that people would have. Just as Dr. Nandi said, are there any medications you're taking now that may be inhibiting those results? So we have to go back and look and see where it might be coming from. This is a classic case where finding a doctor trained in investigative work, functional medicine, complementary medicine, doesn't matter what you call it, but I usually recommend people who are certified in functional medicine, because that's a 3.5-year process before they can sit for the exam, and it's a challenging exam. So if you have someone in your city that is certified in functional medicine, that may be someone that can do that investigation with you. So go to functionalmedicine.org. That's the website for the Institute of Functional Medicine, and see if there's somebody in your town. But that's a really good question, and I want to encourage you to keep moving forward with this to find out. And I agree with Dr. Nandi that Viome is a most accurate test that we have today. With my knowledge of the technology out there, it's the most accurate. So I would assume it's accurate, and that there has to be. Have you ever backed out of a driveway, you know, and you say, "Oh, this car's so slow. Why is it backing up so slow?" You say, "Oh, the emergency brake." And then you let go of the emergency brake, and then you back up easily. That's going on for you right now. So the question is, where is the emergency brake? And I don't know the answer to that. Dr. Nandi doesn't know. But what we can give you is the concept. You have to find the emergency brake. Dr. Nandi, the next question from Jenny. Is it true that eating fermented foods can induce the overflow of bacteria into the small intestine and cause small intestinal bacterial overgrowth?
So before I answer Jenny's question, Dr. Tom, I would also encourage, I think I see the question now. Thank you for posting that for me. It's Emily, right? So Emily, what I would also do is send us, if you can, a list of your medications. You don't have to do it right now, but a list of your medications and any other over-the-counter stuff that you think is a natural supplement that you're taking that could be interfering with you not being able to incorporate the right microbiome, even though you're doing everything possible. So back to Jenny's question. Jenny, is eating fermented foods can induce the overflow of bacteria into the small intestine and cause SIBO. So here's what we have to understand is that SIBO is what? The small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So you're in essence having an overgrowth, not just of total bugs or bacteria or organisms, but it's a ratio of the stuff that really is harming you, right? So you get these symptoms of bloating and discomfort. And often even diarrhea, people have had some much worse symptoms in my patients. What I would say is that if you feel like you have SIBO, I would get tested first before increasing all of your fermented foods and probiotics that you want to take, whether it's a pill or food, and find out, number one, if you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And then if you can, either with medicine or through functional methods, see if we can eradicate the overgrowth of at least the bad bugs that you have. And then I would incorporate more fermented foods and really get your diet more, I think, a little bit broader. Because if you're taking fermented foods and eating lots and lots of bacteria along with a diverse array of foods, when you have SIBO, your symptoms may get worse in the beginning. You want to treat the SIBO first and then start to increase your diet with more fermented foods. And often people have heard about this. You want to get the FODMAP diet and not give food to this group of bacteria and organisms that could be giving you the symptoms. And then once you've treated the SIBO, then increase your foods, add more fermented foods, and then expand your diet. That's what I would say.
Fully agree.
I don't think it's causing it though. I would emphasize, I don't think that eating fermented foods, if someone says, well, is it because I've eaten a bunch of fermented foods and then this caused me to have SIBO, that's not the answer. However, if you feel like you have SIBO, I wouldn't incorporate a great amount of fermented foods until you've been treated.
Right. Agreed. A shout out to Susan, who's here from Denmark. She says, gut is the new black here in Scandinavia too. So it's worldwide, of course. We have a question here from Rosemarie. I had severe stomach pain related to lisinopril. Doctors wanted to remove a section of my colon during what they believed was diverticulitis. It was not. My question is this: can severe adrenal fatigue cause low, poor digestion, leading to diverticulitis and or medication causing stomach issues resembling fever, chills, blood poisoning?
Great question. So, Rosemary, diverticulitis is a specific condition, right? So diverticula, for those who are watching and listening, are little pockets of air that are typically in your colon. It could be in other parts of your body, but typically in your colon, that can get inflamed and cause diverticulitis. It's a very specific diagnosis. Typically, it's made by a CAT scan or looking at it, the colon directly with the colonoscope. You don't usually do a colonoscopy or perform a colonoscopy when you have diverticulitis, but you can do a CAT scan. So if someone said to you, Rosemary, that you have diverticulitis based on just your examination, it typically is that you don't have diverticulitis from lisinopril or adrenal fatigue. However, both those etiologies or those causes can give you abdominal pain, can give you symptoms that you're talking about as far as fevers, chills, and blood poisoning. Blood poisoning, no, but the symptoms of fevers and chills, which is fatigue, feeling run down, not having energy, which you can have with having an infection, it can resemble that. Remember, adrenal fatigue, you're basically, you are running on empty. Imagine a car, right, that is just completely going all day, never filling up. You've got no coolant left, no gas left. You're just going continuously. So your adrenal gland produces what? Your adrenal gland produces hormones for you to live. And when you don't have those hormones, or you have it in low quantities, your entire body is not functioning well, including your gut. When your gut is not functioning well, it has something called dysmotility, or it's not moving properly. You can be bloated. You can have abdominal pain. You can have anywhere from diarrhea, constipation, bloating, and you can have fatigue. So that's how you can put this together. But diverticulitis by itself should not be caused by either the lisinopril or adrenal fatigue.
Catherine says, my food sensitivity test showed reactions to almost everything. Confirmed leaky gut. I have Hashimoto's. I meet with my doc next month to discuss results. Any advice what I can do to jumpstart the healing process? There are two things I'm going to say, Catherine. The first one is pick up the book, The Autoimmune Fix. It's my book. It won National Book Award. And it will give you the whole outline of how to look at this whole area of leaky gut and how it relates to the development of autoimmune diseases. And there are guidelines and recipes and all that in there. And the second thing is Dr. Nandi's Slim Gut course, which starts in 2 weeks, because he's going to have day after day of information about the gut. Dr. Nandi, would you like to add to that?
Absolutely. I think my Slim Gut Summit will be terrific for you to sign up for. And I think it'll give you great ideas, some insight. To me, it's also important to know the doc you're seeing next month, right? So is it a traditional Western medicine doc? And if it is, you have to make sure that she or he has an open mind to discuss this with you. Not every doctor is going to be open for you to be able to work through this in medicinal ways as well as functional ways. To me, the marriage of the two is how it works well. So I've got my patients with Crohn's disease. I don't tell them to throw out their medicines and just go out there and say, I'm going to do everything that Dr. Nandi told me for functional medicine. But it's rather, let's work together. Let's take away the unnecessary medications, right? Reduce the doses of, for example, infliximab. And then you talk about how you can then take the best of the East and the West. Make sure you research your doctor and research your condition. The autoimmune fix that Dr. Tom is talking about is absolutely amazing. And if you have that information, armed with it, I wouldn't go with 1,000 questions coming in with the doctor, but have a list of some very thoughtful ideas that that the doctor can help you with. So they may say, take this or that medicine or procedure. You say, well, I've read about X, Y, and Z. What are your thoughts about it? And listen, if you can't find a doc that's not going to be able to help you to incorporate some of the ideas Dr. Tom talks about and I talk about, you got to find somebody else. A lot of times my patients don't take the initiative to really go and find another practitioner. You have to do that because This is your life, right? There's no better. This is your number one priority.
Never give up. Never, ever give up.
Right.
A shout out to Dorinda and Jana in San Diego. Dorinda runs the Functional Forum group there, and I met her and her granddaughter, Jana, I think it was about 2 months ago now, and they hosted me. It was a great event. Thank you, ladies. It was really a pleasure to be with you, and look forward to next time we get to spend time together. Thank you for that. Let's see, we've got a lot of questions here. My food sensitivity test showed reactions to almost, oh no, we just did that one. I found that test to be very incomplete and inaccurate. I think the GI map is the best I use. So this is somebody commenting on some of the tests that are out there. We'll take a moment here. I just want to make sure, I've got to remember to tell everyone, guys, we've got Betrayal launching next Monday. And we're going to post the link here for you. And you've heard me before say this, so please register and share the link with at least 1 or 2 other people. Oh, thank you for all the thumbs up and the hearts that are popping right now. Thank you so much for that. Please share the information for Betrayal and also for Dr. Nandi's course, because there's a world out there that needs to be healed. And people can't heal if they don't know the right questions to ask or the way to look at their problem. And that's what we're doing here with these events like Betrayal and the Slim Gut Summit, is giving people information to start changing the way they think about the health conditions that they're dealing with. Oh, thank you. All these hearts are flying. And you guys know that when you start flying those hearts, I don't stop talking. So I've got to be careful here because I've got a guest today. So it's just not just my show. So we're going to continue moving forward here with questions. Dr. Nandi, would you like to comment on that though, about why your event and my event, why these things are so important to carry the message out to our world?
I really think, Dr. Tom, that it's about empowerment, right? It's about the wonderful thing about the web and the internet and social media is that, a lot of people have negative thoughts about it, but here's how it's amazing. You could be in a village in Africa, to be in the inner city of Detroit, or be in somewhere in the west coast of Australia, and you can still get this information. This is invaluable because you don't really get this anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
And Dr. Tom and I have collected experts from all over the planet to really be your guide. And so this is why I think it's such an opportunity. And we're offering this free, and Dr. Tom's summit is beginning in a few days. Mine is also beginning, I think, a little bit later than that, and the dates are there. But the key is that we're giving this opportunity for folks to be able to get the information. Why? Because it empowers you. It gives the power back to you to help you fight diseases, to help you be able to take care of your health. We didn't have that before. When I was 6 years old and I had rheumatic disease, and my parents were going from doctor to doctor. They didn't have a Dr. Tom, or they didn't have a group of experts internationally tell them this is what's going on. Perhaps this is the way to go. They went from person to person. So that's why it's so important. You have a hundreds of people putting their brains together and their research and their collective efforts and their collective communities to work for your benefit. That's the unique opportunity to be able to empower you. And I say, to be your own health hero. This is how you do it. And then Dr. Tom said it, never give up. And most folks who are listening, you may have some issues, or they have a family member. You don't give up. You get this information and use it to your benefit.
Amen to that. Amen to Elizabeth has a question. My GI specialist told me that going gluten-free and sugar-free long-term is bad for your health. Why would they say that? I'm diagnosed with Crohn's, and wheat and sugar makes me very sick. Well, there's the pros and the cons of what they've said. Elizabeth, so many people that go gluten-free don't do it in a good way, that they start eating gluten-free blueberry muffins and gluten-free bread and gluten-free pasta, and they think, oh, I can eat this, it's healthy, it's good for me. No, it's not. It's white paste. It's just garbage. And the wheat products that people were eating beforehand, at least they were enriched, which meant there were some vitamins and minerals in there. Plus they have fiber. And 78% of the prebiotic in the North American diet comes from wheat. When you stop eating wheat and you eat the wheat-free stuff, it doesn't have any prebiotics in it. So what happens is the 78% of all the food that's feeding the good bacteria in your gut, when you go gluten-free, all of a sudden you stop feeding the good bacteria in your gut. When you stop feeding the good bacteria in your gut, they die of starvation. When the good bacteria in your gut die of starvation, the bad bacteria thrive because they thrive on that pasty stuff that doesn't have any benefits, that they're just white paste, sugar. So gluten-free and sugar-free is extremely healthy for you without any caveats or hesitation, as long as you do it correctly. That's why, and most doctors don't know this, that's why we have the entire certified gluten practitioner program. And we have over 800 doctors around the world and healthcare nutritionists and dietitians that are certified and know how to do this right, you know? And my books talk about this. Dr. Nandi talks about this. So it's not that going gluten-free is bad for you, it's doing bad gluten-free that's bad for you. Now, given that you also have Crohn's, Dr. Nandi, is there anything else that you would add to that?
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right, Dr. Tom. Many Western medicine practitioners, especially if you've practiced for the vast more than 10 years, are not aware of some of the information. So here's what I would say, Elizabeth, that if you're feeling better without gluten and simple sugar, then I think you should go for it. Here's what I worry about. When people say sugar-free, they don't realize that eating an apple doesn't mean sugar, that you avoid an apple if you want to go sugar-free. As Dr. Tom pointed out, it's the simple sugars, the processed sugars that you see in bread, in candy, and in this pasta that you see in so many people, that when they're eating, they feel like it's okay because it's not sweet. So simple sugars, if you are noticing that your Crohn's is worse, then avoid the simple sugars. But the complex carbohydrates in fruits and vegetables are terrific for you and terrific for your Crohn's. Why is that? Because Crohn's is an autoimmune condition, right? If you treat your gut to these great fruits and vegetables, it changes your entire gut health. It changes your microbiome. And as you may be aware of, Elizabeth, that this can actually revolutionize your Crohn's disease. When you change your microbiome in a way that's advantageous, you can change your immunity and actually have your Crohn's disease often controlled better. So go ahead. If you feel like gluten-free is better for you, with the caveats Dr. Tom talked about, don't have a giant gluten-free, fatty, crazy thing that you think it's healthy now because you have bad fats and you have foods that are devoid of nutrition. But if you do it the right way, gluten-free and sugar-free, simple sugar-free would be terrific. Remember to listen to your body. And if your doctor is saying that, you got to find somebody else who can understand why you're avoiding those foods and take control of your life.
Gary asks, I read about prebiotic foods actually being a major contributor to histamines and allergies. Is this true? And what food specifically can cause this?
Gary, I don't believe that prebiotic foods are what are causing allergies. So prebiotic foods, as Dr. Tom really pointed out very well, are the foods that the good bugs need to build themselves up. So let's give an analogy, right? So you have 100 trillion of these bugs in your intestine, and most foods and even the supplements will give you several billion of these good bugs. So you've got a magnitude of 1,000 to really get to anywhere near where you need to be to make an effect. So that's why prebiotics actually help you to be able to get the foods for these bugs to really thrive and multiply. So to say that, prebiotic foods can cause allergies or produce increased histamine, I say in general would not be true. I need to know exactly which foods you're talking about, because there are a lot of folks out there, unfortunately, they're not like Dr. Tom. They are out there to really promote God knows what, and they will say this is a prebiotic food,
Right.
and components of which could be giving you allergies. But in general, foods that are truly prebiotic will not worsen your allergies or create allergies or increase histamine. In fact, just the opposite. It will really affect your body in a way where your immune system will be more symbiotic and really work with you.
Agreed. Fully agreed. Emily responded, and it was Emily that on the biome test and with low or no acromantia responded, said, I'm on no meds. Okay, Emily, so that validates more of a investigation that has to occur. Where's the emergency brake coming from? It might be mold in your house that you're breathing every day. You know, it could be chemical toxicities that have accumulated in your body. There's a whole world of potential emergency breaks that may be holding back your microbiome from developing the way that it should. You know, unfortunately, there's no shotgun to this. You really just need a deep dive, and finding a functional medicine practitioner, depending on where you live, can be very helpful. And of course, everyone who comes to my Facebook Live knows that we have an entire department of my team does Skype calls and consultations. So that's always an option for you also. And they're well trained in this. And if you're in the Midwest, Dr. Nandi's in Detroit. So he's worth flying to in a minute. Actually, if you're on planet Earth and you need a great gastroenterologist, you fly to Detroit and you see Dr. Nandi.
One thought. I don't know where in the world Emily is. I mean, something as simple, right, as vitamin D deficiency could interfere with your having akkermansia and not having the right composition. These interactions are so complex, right? We want to simplify them as much as possible, but know that we are getting just a surface idea. We're really getting more and more knowledge, but there's so many complex interactions. So what I mean by that is you're doing everything right, as Dr. Tom says, right, Emily? So you're doing everything right, and everybody who's read her question, she's doing everything right. You should do the same thing. But there's caveats which interfere with possibly a gut transport protein. And so this is why Dr. Tom is absolutely correct. You have to have an investigative physician. But something as simple as vitamin D deficiency. And I live in Michigan, and Dr. Tom knows, sun don't shine that much in Michigan, right? So a lot of my patients have vitamin D deficiency. So it's something as simple as that, Emily, can make a difference. So we need to look at factors. Thanks for telling us about no medicines, but other factors, toxins that could also interfere with your gut composition, right? The composition of the right microbiota or the right bugs could really be changed by your environment and what is in your body that is needed for the survival and thriving of these organisms. It's really a complex ecosystem in that gut.
You know, I don't know if anyone caught this, Dr. Nandi, but you can really tell that you are a Michigander now, because you said there, I live in Michigan, the sun don't shine here. And it's like Motown. You were talking Motown there for a minute. That was great.
Heck yes. Oh, yeah.
That was really wonderful. And most of you don't know that I'm originally from Detroit, not too far from where Dr. Nandi is now. And so we share that background together.
Absolutely.
Someone asked earlier, I'm sorry, I don't have the name here, but they were asking, what do I do it was Jennifer. Any advice on steps to recovery from Epstein Barr virus? Yes, Jennifer. If you have been diagnosed or suffering from a viral infection of any type, especially something like Epstein Barr, what it suggests is that your immune system is unable to handle that virus. So the virus has taken over and caused the symptoms you now have. So the question is, where is the emergency brake that has weakened or held back your immune system from keeping the virus in check? Because most of us, if you look thoroughly, have some Epstein Barr virus in us. Most of us do. Most of us have most of these viruses now today that are out there that are so common, cytomegalovirus and herpes. Unfortunately, 90% of the world now is estimated to have herpes simplex 1 infections. So most of us have these viruses, but they don't get a chance to rear their ugly heads and take over and become so dominant that it causes symptoms that inhibit your quality of life. So if you have been diagnosed with an Epstein-Barr virus, then the question is, where are the emergency brakes? Is it food sensitivities? I don't feel bad when I eat a food, doesn't mean it's good for you, because you've all heard me say with celiac disease, the ratio is 8-1. For every one person with gut symptoms, there are 8 that have no gut symptoms at all when they eat wheat. They've got brain symptoms or thyroid symptoms or immune compromised symptoms. They don't have gut symptoms, so they eat the pizza or they eat the wheat and they think it's fine because they don't feel bad. But they feel bad overall, but not when they eat. The lucky ones are the ones you eat something and you feel bad in your stomach afterwards. You're the lucky ones. So with any viral infection, the question is, how did this thing rear its ugly head? And I'll ask Dr. Nandi if he'd like to add on to that question about Epstein-Barr.
Yeah, no, I think you gave some great points. So Epstein-Barr, for those of you who are watching and maybe never had Epstein-Barr, if you get the virus, there's a proportion of folks that get symptoms that last a much longer time. I've seen patients, Dr. Tom, with liver problems. Their liver enzymes are sky high. They come to me because their liver enzymes are 10 times normal. Others have come to me with profound fatigue. So this is a virus that your body develops a reaction to, right? So again, your body develops an appropriate reaction, but for some folks, this results in a bit of a dysfunctional response. So it responds to the virus, but it also gives so many toxic metabolites and products in your body that it allows your body to be fatigued, right? So remember, Dr. Tom often talks about the immune system as the Army, the Navy, right? The Air Force, even the sheriff in town. They're all out there with their pea shooters. They're bang, bang, bang. So imagine if your sheriff is like, I'm going to get this guy and he's out of control. Well, your town could get shot up. So the same analogy happens that if your immune system is not in sync, and again, Dr. Tom talks about the weak link, right? For you, it may be the brain, somebody else, maybe the thyroid. If your immune system is not working perfectly well, you can get a virus like Epstein-Barr, which can simulate a response from your own body that affects itself. So getting your gut in the right shape, getting your body in the right shape, getting your gut health to be appropriate will really help you to have your body create appropriate responses. It's not foolproof, but that's how you really get ahead of it. So when you have Epstein-Barr virus, of course, you want to make sure, especially at that time, you eat whole foods. You don't go out there and eat processed foods and things in a can. You try to avoid environmental toxins. Make sure your house is yielded. I also think this amazing device, right? We don't talk about this very much. And the amount of toxicity it emits when people have it on day and night, your Wi-Fi in your house day and night. People don't realize the correlation when you have these EMFs, right? And Dr. Tom is in a part of the world that is not as inundated as we are. I mean, they have some safeguards that we don't even have. So when you look at what you can do, you want to detoxify your body as much as possible with the food that you eat, the type of environment that you have. And also, let's not forget about emotional toxicity. When you have a job, a family life, I had a woman who visited me from New York, Dr. Tom, who came to me and said, she came to me for that day and visited me. And she said, I don't know what's going on. I cannot stay on top of my health. And I said, tell me about your life. She said, well, let me tell you, I hate my job. I said, okay. And then I have a really terrible relationship with my significant other. And I really have no time for myself. So imagine what her body's going through, right? She goes to work, hates it, barrage of dysfunctional spiritual influences, goes home to work, goes home to her, the person that's supposed to be your support system, your tribe, zero. Then you have no time for yourself. So in addition to all these tips we're giving you, you need to also make sure, whether it's Epstein Barr virus, Crohn's disease, Hashimoto's, you need to make sure you have a tribe, you have appropriate spirituality. And then the last thing is, please sleep. We have an epidemic of lack of sleep in our nation and the world. So if you're an adult not getting 7 hours of sleep and think that your body is going to be able to function, it's not going to happen.
Right, agreed. You know, folks, I can see that the answers to these questions can be overwhelming for some people, and you're not quite sure where to start. The book, my newest book came out last September. It's #1 in 7 categories on Amazon for brain, and it's called You Can Fix Your Brain. And I chose the brain because it's such a sensitive topic, but the approach is the same for Epstein Barr. It's the same for Crohn's. It's the same for Hashimoto's. It's the same for brain fog, which is there's a big picture that you have to look at. For example, the person earlier who doesn't have any akromansia and she's eating all the right stuff. Why is that happening? There is a checklist that you have to go through. Okay, is it the air that I'm breathing? Is it my environment? Is it my spiritual health? Is it my toxic relationship? There's just a number of different arenas that you have to look at that can contribute to or fuel any problem. So the book is about the brain, but it talks about how do you look at all of these different arenas? What's the platform that I can stand on to look at all of this and find someone to help me figure it out? So I know this is overwhelming. I know it's a lot, and you have to have patience and persistence. The subtitle of the book is just 1 hour a week to the best memory, productivity, and sleep you've ever had. And why, that's not a cutesy title. That the only way that I know that people can be successful with chronic health conditions is to every Tuesday night after dinner, every Sunday morning after services, whenever it is, but every week, 1 hour, I'm going to learn something new about my environment, my emotional environment, my food environment, my air environment, my relationship environment, 1 hour a week, because you're already so busy with everything you're doing. And so 1 hour a week, and in 6 months, you got this. You got this. Because every week you've just spent an hour to deal a little bit with just one little topic. For example, when you learn that phthalates, the category of chemicals that mold plastics, like Tupperware containers, when you learn that you store your leftover chicken in a plastic container refrigerator, the next day, that chicken has phthalates in it. And those phthalates accumulate in your body over time, and they affect brain function. And I show you the studies on all this. But when you learn this 1 week, you go online or you open the book up on Tuesday nights. Okay, I'm going to deal with the storage containers in my kitchen. I'm going to get glass containers. And you go, okay, now where's that website? Okay, mileskimball.com or Amazon. I give you 3 websites. And you, I like those. And you order 3 round ones and 2 square ones and 1 for the pies, and you pay the credit card, you hit send. It took you an hour. You're done for the week. But never again will you poison your family with this minor amount of poisons that there's no studies that amount that leaches in your food is a problem. There's no study for that. But it's the accumulation of all this stuff over time that causes so many of our diseases. That's why betrayal is called the autoimmune disease solution they're not telling you. It's the accumulation of all these toxins over time. It's the accumulation of that little bit of mold that may be in your bathroom. Oh, it's no big deal. I can't even smell it. But you're breathing it every day, a little bit over time. So patience and persistence is the key to win the ball game. And because I know that the answers we're giving are great answers, but it's overwhelming for some people. So just if you feel a little overwhelmed and not sure what to do, 1 hour a week, get the book. get Dr. Nandi's books, get my books, spend some time reading this stuff. And because, we're the guys that are giving you the game plan of how to figure out what's going on for you. So Betrayal starts next Monday. The link is here for you to register for it. It's all free. And episode 1 is available immediately as soon as you register. So you can check it out and say, oh, this is really cool. I'm going to watch more of this. And then the Slim Gut Summit starts in, I think it's 2 weeks, but the link is here so you can register for it. You'll get all the notices of when it's going to start and who's going to be on and all that stuff. Well, Dr. Nandi, it's been an hour. It goes so fast. It does, but there are hearts just flying all over the screen here. I don't know if you see them at your end, but it was really great. I want to thank you so much for the time together. It's always a pleasure to work together with you. It's always a pleasure, and that I benefit as much as our entire audience just by listening to you, and your comments validate my work. And I know my comments validate your work. So it's a real win-win. Plus, you're a Motor City guy. So I
know. I feel honored, though. I'll tell you, there's very few people on the planet that I feel stronger about as far as knowing and understanding the needs of human beings and their health. And the other thing that I'll tell folks who don't know Dr. Tom well is that I know him personally and that I know his heart. I love the fact that he has this great knowledge and that he really gives great solutions. But I'll tell you, to me, it is as important, if not more, where his heart is. I've seen him in situations that, that didn't require him to be generous and to be giving, and he always does. So it's always an honor to be doing anything with you. And hopefully you'll come down to the Motor City. I'll go to Italy and we can do something together. And I'm sure that people will really benefit. So I appreciate the time and the opportunity.
Thank you so much. And all right, everyone, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.